Hello, it is year 1982. As for me, I went to high school in Gwangju, and now I'm a college student in Seoul. I'm writing to report what happened in May 1980. I know that it's too much for me to report the truth under the brutal Cheonju-han dictatorship though. I'm determined to do so in the hope that the whole truth would be heard someday. In 1979, when I entered a local high school, President Park Chung-hee died. He grabbed the power in 1961, way before I was born, enjoying the power for as long as 18 years. People having suffered his military dictatorship desperately wanted democracy. Defying people's aspiration, a new military force led by Cheonju-han seized power in a military coup on December 12th. He imposed martial law to take the saddle and arrested or placed democracy activists in preventive custody. As enraged, people took to the street across the nation in May 1980. On May 15th, a 70,000-strong crowd flocked in front of the Seoul railway station, being afraid of the possibility of violent clash with the police. If the rally continued into late night, the student representatives decided to head back to their respective colleges. Fearful of eruption of new protests, the new military force raided a meeting of the Korea College Student Council on May 17th, arresting 95 student representatives and expanded martial law nationwide. The National Assembly, universities, newspaper companies, and broadcasting companies were all controlled by the martial law army in an attempt to close off all the possible avenues to democratization movement. There were also street demonstrations in May in Gwangju, my town, and on May 18th, an incident occurred eventually. The martial law army standing in front of the Cheonnam National University stopped students from entering. As the students protested, the soldiers relentlessly beat them with batons and even arrested them. The news broke out and the Gwangju citizens arrived at the local government office building. I was there too with my friends. The soldiers threatened and violently pushed the people to go back home. On May 19th, more of the martial law soldiers came down to Gwangju. The city saw the soldiers and citizens standing off restlessly face to face here and there. The next moment, the martial law army threatened with armored vehicles and helicopters, finally beginning to fire at the crowd. A scene that was hard to believe. How could soldiers fire at innocent citizens? Gwangju had gotten devastated. On May 20th, middle and high schools across Gwangju were ordered to close. My friends and I, who had nowhere to go with school closure, went to Kumnamno, the ground zero. I witnessed with my bare eyes that the soldiers beat the citizens flat. I clearly saw people with their heads beaten and dragged by the soldiers. People stabbed and shot to the ground with splashing blood, and people gotten naked and humiliated in punishment. The army got violent day by day, which was never reported in media. As if nothing had happened, TV shows continued. Some people visited the broadcasting companies and vented out their frustrations. Gwangju MBC was even set on fire. On May 21st, all the landlines from Gwangju were cut off. I couldn't reach my mother living outside Gwangju. As the soldiers never put down their guns, the citizens started to arm themselves. They got hold of armored vehicles from car-making factories and took weapons from local police stations and ammunition storages. On the same day, the standoff between the citizen army and the martial law army ended with the martial law army's withdrawal from the provincial government building. The citizen army, who succeeded in defending the building, put together a civil autonomy system from May 21st to 26th. It was the citizens that cleaned up the scenes and distributed meals to the citizen army. At the news of lack of blood for transfusion, my friends and I ran to the hospitals. In the plaza in front of local government building were daily civil rallies, where anyone was allowed to speak out, and people put their heads together to find solutions and share the situation. On May 26th, the martial law army drove tanks back to the building, where people flocked and bodily resisted the tanks, successfully saving their hold at least for the day. In the evening, I fell asleep earlier than usual. maybe because of exhaustion due to early morning talks with other people. And around daybreak, I was awakened at loud voice coming from outside. The martial law army is coming. My fellow citizens, please don't forget us. Someone was broadcasting. I still vividly remember the voice, the outcry asking not to forget, which would not be removed from my mind forever. In the dark, a lot of soldiers arrived at the building. Everyone at the government building knew that it was almost impossible to hold up there. Still many more citizen soldiers remained in the building. Soon, the building was under fire and a countless number of Gwangju citizens lost their beloved ones. Depressingly, the truth of the day is little known to others. Seoul of 1982 is still quiet. College campuses are present with officers in plain clothes. Chon Do-hwan, the mastermind of the Gwangju tragedy, is still in office. There are no one who believes my Gwangju story in Seoul. Instead, they ask me back that the Gwangju incident occurred by North Korean army or was a rebellious instigation by commies. Then my anger upwells and becomes hardly controllable. Would that day come when people really listen to my Gwangju story? Would bushes like May 18th being a riot or an act of red elements go away? Would Chon Do-hwan's dictatorship be brought to an end and democracy arrive? Will the story of May 18th ever go down in textbooks and truthful history education be taught? I long for such a day to come. Until then, I will do what I can and should. Please tell the truth of Gwangju. Please don't forget the spirit of May 18th. With aspiration of democratization. From Seoul, May 1982.